today we're very special. You know, with North Carolina being a battleground state, we get a lot of big names, a lot of great people to come here because we're a battleground state. Keep on phone calling so we don't have to be. We'll put North Carolina red and they can go somewhere else and campaign. But in the meantime, we've got a rising star, a shining star in Washington. Congresswoman Marcia Roby is that shining star. And it's real easy. When she was out campaigning and talking to the people of Alabama, she said, we need a budget that people can read and people can understand. Because up in Washington, they don't want you to understand the budget. They don't want you to know where your money is going. And in North Carolina, we just drew some fair and legal districts. We're going to give people a chance to vote on who they want for Congress. In fact, the last person with the crayon were the Democrats, where it's like, draw your districts. And so they actually had a lot of input on the districts, but now the districts are very fair and very legal, and it gives people a chance. And hopefully out of those maps, we're going to send some more congressmen up your way to help you out. But that's what we're going to look for, is looking for all the young people in North Carolina to turn North Carolina into a crimson red state, not just red or pink, but into a crimson red state again, what we need. But our shining star, and here today, all the way from Alabama, one of the first woman elected for Congress in Alabama, Congresswoman Marcia Roby.
Appreciate what you do, and Senator hit the nail on the head. The reason I'm here is because Alabama is a deep shade of red, and we're going to elect Governor Romney and Paul Ryan in Alabama, and so I have a responsibility because of that to come to states like North Carolina and help in any way that I can. And so it's a privilege for me, an honor for me to be here in your state, and really, you know, what I'm here for is to get you excited and get you fired up. You're here already in this headquarters because you love your state, you love the state of North Carolina, and you love your country, and you're willing to spend your Saturday here on the phone or out knocking on doors, touching voters so that we can win this election and get our country back on track. And you already understand that, so you don't need to hear that from me. But what I need to tell you today is how important what you are doing is to this election. I want to tell you that it counts and that it will make the difference. Some of these guys that have been running around with me today have already heard me say this once, but I'm going to keep saying it, and I can't emphasize it enough. I ran for city council when I was 26. This was the first election, really first time I've ever been involved in politics. And there were 6 of us in the race, and everybody told me, you're not going to win, you're crazy. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to outwork every other candidate. And I went and knocked on every door, not once, but I knocked on doors twice. And I looked people in the eye and I said, will you vote for me? And I won. And I won because of that. I guarantee you it wasn't because of anything I did other than reaching out to those voters and asking them for their vote. And so I'll tell you today that what you guys are doing here, making these phone calls, going and knocking on doors, it is tenfold what any $1 that the Romney campaign can spend in this race. Grassroots means everything. And in a state like North Carolina, it can be the difference between a shade of pink or a shade of light blue. It really can. And I want y'all to know how important that is. And we're going to see this all over the country. The question that you should ask, and I know you've got a script here on the phone, but I think the question when you have an opportunity to touch voters and look them in the eyes, really ask them, how much better off are we today than we were 4 years ago? And 9 times out of 10, I bet you they'll say, we're not. And especially you young folks that are engaged, I applaud you for being involved. You're the ones that are going to change the outcome of this election for the very reasons that the senator already stated. I mean, I loved it at the convention when Paul Ryan said, you know, 3 out of every 10 young people in their 20s and their 30s have moved back in with their parents. You can attest to that. Okay. Well, there you go. And they're looking up at that faded Obama poster and they're saying, is this the hope and change that we were supposed to be so excited about? Unemployment in this state, 9.6, 14% for 28 consecutive months among people in their 20s. That's unbelievable. So I promise you, when you ask these folks, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? The answer is no, you're not. And we've got a candidate and his running mate, Governor Romney, and Paul Ryan, my colleague, who I'm like the proud little sister. I've just known Paul Ryan for a short time, but he is smart, articulate, and what you see on TV is who he is in real life. He's in it for the right reasons. And these guys are committed to our country, and they're committed to not just pointing out the flaws and what we need to change, but they're committed to offering bold solutions. And that's why they're getting attacked the way that they are. That's why Paul Ryan has been attacked every time he's offered a budget in the House of Representatives that took on the real reforms that we know we've got to take on if we're going to turn this ship around. You know, if you cut every single dollar of discretionary spending in a federal budget, in our federal budget, we would still operate at a deficit. That's because we've got to take on reform of our mandatory spending programs, our entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, welfare, and go down the list. But we can all do it. We can do it in a way that protects our seniors, and that's the message to your seniors that you're reaching out, that we want to protect our current seniors and those 55 out. So we're not just pointing out the problems, we're giving real solutions. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. Margaret is my 2nd grader, and George is my 3-year-old. And they're the reason that we ran for Congress. They're the reason that my husband is at home carting around running errands today so I can be here with you. They're the reason that, and your children and your grandchildren are the reason, and for those of you who don't have children yet, your families that you, God willing, will have one day. They're the reason that we've got to work hard to ensure that we win North Carolina and that we win this election. And so really all I'm here today to do is just to tell you thank you. Thank you for caring enough to be here on a Saturday. And every Saturday that you've been here, I understand this Republican headquarters in the state of North Carolina has made more calls than any other any other headquarters in the United States. Or in the state of North Carolina for sure.
In the state of North Carolina for sure. We run in first and fifth. Yeah.
In the United States. Well, congratulations. And that is great. And you guys, you did it. So, I want you to know that there are many people, many good people in Congress that understand the frustrations of small business owners and the fact that we have a government that's touting. We have a president that's touting that he's created these jobs and so on and so forth. Government doesn't create jobs; the private sector creates jobs, and we've got to make sure that we're creating an environment in this country that is right for job creation. And I just want you to be encouraged. You've got a great congressman, Howard Coble. I love him. He sits right in the back of he sits in the same place, and every time I walk by him, he says, "Hey, Alabama." He is just a precious individual, but he loves this country too, and he's working hard for y'all, and I want you to know that. I'm proud to serve with him and all of your North Carolina delegation. We all work real well together. Renee Elmers came to Raleigh, where we were earlier today, and she and I are freshmen together and work real well together, and she and I actually went to Afghanistan together this past May. I serve on the House Armed Services Committee, and I recruited her to go along, and we really bonded while we were there, spending time with our men and women in uniform, all of our military personnel. And for those of you that are here that have served or are currently serving, let me tell you, we're fighting for you. We're fighting for you and your families and every person that has sacrificed to allow for me to be in this room talking to you today. And my children, we don't take that for granted, not 1 second. So on behalf of my family, thank you for that. We've got tough choices ahead of us. I had a guy in the Alabama, one of the delegates, we were down at the convention. I went down there for just a little bit, and he said, we have your back. And I said, well, let me tell you when we're really going to need your back. We're really going to need your back once we win the White House and we get a majority in the Senate. That's when the real tough, and we maintain the majority in the House, that's when we're going to be making tough decisions. And that's when we're really all going to need each other's back.